Yeah, well, I never cry, so.
Oh, that's true. Or laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I laugh. I laugh quite a bit.
It's not the pain. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Nick.
And I'm Joe.
And we're Nick and Joe. And Duncan.
Jesus, come on, man. Okay, bye.
We're back with an all-new episode of a segment we like to call K-Drama Club. So we just finished watching episode 3 of Startup. It's the new K-drama on Netflix. We've been chronicling all the episodes, so you can go back and watch our episodes 1, 2, and now 3, and we'll soon do a recap of episode 4 and more episodes to come, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave comments if you have commentary as we talk about this episode or previous episodes, all that good stuff. But today, we're here to react to episode 3. What did you think about episode 3?
We started off in the party scene, so we got the expanded view of more of what happened at the networking event.
True. I got a hot take. This episode moved slower than I expected it to.
Yeah, I think a lot less happened than in previous episodes, and it was more like kind of the same storyline, but just like drawn out, where they're covering up the secret, for the whole entire episode. It's just like a continuous, like, should we keep covering this up? Should we not cover this up? But it did start off with the networking event. Tosan pretended that he was a hotshot CEO, a lot of money, company doing great. Talmi reunited with her mother for the first time in a long time. And it seems like in the last episode I said, like, maybe they start a relationship again. Seems like the mother wants that. Talmi is not sold on that.
But the mother is also not 100% like normal. Like, it seemed like she was rejecting like the rich life or whatever. Yeah. But then she also makes that comment about the father. Yeah. About like, because the whole thing is, you know, she made up this lie. She brings Namto-san to the party, and then he throws out a lie while they're posing as a couple, saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna have her be the CEO of my company," like making it worse. And then the sisters make this bet about the companies being successful. Yeah. And the mother says, I don't know how to describe what she
says, or if you like lie about what you're gonna be, you're a fraud.
Right. And she says like your father.
Yeah, but she says like if you lie about what you're gonna be, you're a fraud. But if you make it up as you go, then you're just like your father. Which
is a dig, no?
You have to, in the first episode, that was something that she said to the father. Like if you say you have all these dreams but you have no plan, you're a fraud. But he was, determined to make it happen. Like, it was more like, this is my goal and I'm going to make it happen. Right. Not like, oh, I have this all set up for me and I'm going to, go through all these steps. And which is more so what In-jae did. Like, she had the rich backing. She had like, oh, I just have to do this, 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 and this, and I'll have a successful company. It wasn't like she had to figure it out as she went.
And speaking of In-jae, she's not getting love from her mother, and she's certainly not getting that much love from her stepfather either.
Nope,
we got a bit more of her this episode.
Yeah, and it seems like her situation isn't exactly what she thought it was, or what anyone thought it was.
I think there's a little sexism at play because the stepfather clearly wants his son, he's kind of like doing a backdoor thing, trying to get the son in to be CEO of her company, and he tried to pull some shady stuff with holding a board meeting when he thought she was away. And she was not away. She came back and told him off. And it seems like she's abandoning that company.
Yeah, leaving that kind of lifestyle. Yes. I think more so what the situation is that her stepfather knew that she was competent and knew that his son was not. So I think she feels like he used her to grow the company to a certain point because of her competence. And then he's like, okay, now that the company's great, I'm going to put my son in charge. Right. And then kind of like, it was just kind of like, and she kind of saw that happening. And her mother warned her about it, but she didn't believe her at first. But then it happened like immediately where he tried to get the son to take over the Korean part of the company and kind of banish the stepdaughter In-jae back to the U.S. to stay there and just run like the U.S. operations of her company. Right.
And now it seems like what we were trying to predict last episode in like how are all these paths going to converge. Since In-jae is now like leaving her company, it seems like she's trying to apply for Sandbox for the residency program, which previously in the first episode we saw her say, why would I go through Sandbox if I have all this funding? Like I don't need it. But now she doesn't if she's trying to go away from the stepdad. So she's going to go through Sandbox. Samsung Tech is going to try to go through Sandbox as well, even though they just won Coda. And
Talmi.
Taomi is going to be the fake CEO of that company.
Yeah. She also put in her application for Sandbox though.
Oh, that's true.
It showed all three of them apply to Sandbox, and then Chi Pyong
is going to be the mentor.
Yeah, request to be the mentor. So I think this is a path that I totally did not see coming at all. Is that In-jae, Taomi, and Tosan are, I think, likely to just be peers, like all working in the same residency program for their startups.
For sure.
With Chi Pyong as like their their mentor.
Which begs the question, who's the villain here? Because I thought it was going to be In-jae, and now I don't.
Yeah, now I think that
could potentially be the stepfather and the stepbrother.
The stepbrother, yeah.
And somehow, but I don't see how that's going to connect yet.
It even seems like maybe In-jae, Taomi, and Tosan all band together with Samsan, with the technology that he has, and then because with In-jae's like business sense and the technology that Tosan built. And then obviously like Taomi has like this sensibility about life that In-jae doesn't have, and it seems like that the three of them together
could run a very successful business.
Because Taomi has like it seems like In-jae has it too, the work ethic.
Yeah.
But Taomi has more of like
she'll take care of the workplace culture,
real world sense of it more so than In-jae does. Totally. I thought that was really interesting. I did not expect that to get to a point where like we don't know that this is happening, obviously, but I think that it's pretty likely that the three of them will be peers in some way. And possibly even working all together.
Yeah, I think that is the most likely scenario. Yeah. But all the meanwhile, Nam Do-san playing his role a little too closely and falling in love with Taomi all along the way, which is only going to cause more problems. And now they're parsing out which lie can we keep telling her and which lie can we tell her the truth, that kind of thing. Because the grandmother was apparently going to tell her the whole thing.
Yeah.
He does not want that because he's falling in love with her.
Yeah, and Chi Pyong also does not want to do it. Because he feels as though he's repaying his debt to the grandmother by allowing Taomi to be happy.
Yeah.
At the end of the episode, they had like this scene where Chi Pyong and Tosan were both getting asked at the same time if they have feelings for Taomi. Like the grandmother was asking Chi Pyong, and then one of Tosan's friends was asking him.
The love triangle we predicted.
The love triangle. And then Chi Pyong says no.
He does not.
And Tosan says yes. I think that Chi Pyong is lying and Tosan is telling the truth. And that there is like this weird love triangle thing happening. Because when Tosan was reading the letter back to him, Chi Pyong said like, oh yeah, you don't understand the meaning, like I relate to this. So I think that he does have some sort of like emotional connection to the letters that he wasn't quite letting on at the time. But I think at the same time, like he knows that for him, that makes the situation more complicated, even though in my head, it makes the situation less complicated. If they just say like, hey, this is the guy who actually wrote the letters.
Yeah. I think you're wrong, and I think they're both telling the truth. And I think that when he says no, he doesn't have feelings for her, that he really is just about kind of like honor and fulfilling that obligation to the grandmother and like him realizing, it's the whole thing about him realizing like people can be kind and she's one of the only people that kind of showed him true compassion and love in his life, that she means something to him and he really wants to pay that back so much. And he could even be paying it back through the granddaughter, so I think that he's telling the truth when he says he doesn't like her, and I think Nam Do-san is also telling the truth and he says he likes her, obviously, and how that all will unfold and how she will inevitably find out about the whole ruse is to be seen. But I'm sure that will be a major conflict coming up.
Yeah, because also I think that regardless of whether or not like Chi Pyong has romantic feelings for Taomi, I think that there is some sort of emotional connection there, and he is in some way connected to her.
He did write all those. They did exchange all those letters in real life,
and I think like he like started to be empathetic. Because he was talking about how Tosan totally lacks empathy and things like that. And I think that he like learned empathy through like the interactions through the letters and with the grandmother.
True.
So I think maybe he sees a lot of himself in Tosan, like his younger self.
And he's basically trying to like support him like an older brother almost, like making sure he's like dressed up and then setting up the whole scene in the office. He's giving him his car to drive home from the date or whatever, which is a very funny scene. I thought that was pretty humorous.
Yeah, there was actually, this episode there was quite a few like funny moments, I thought, where they like said funny
counting.
Things. Yeah.
And he's like putting down his fingers and he's putting them off. And second like middle finger action.
And they like blur it out with the circles. But I also thought it was kind of funny when they're at the event and he's like, pretend you're talking to me. He's like, what do I say? And he's like, just sing the national anthem. And they're just like saying the national anthem back and forth, the Korean national anthem.
And I learned a common, I don't know what you call it. It's not a common phrase. anecdote, metaphor, I don't know what it's called, when she says, if you laugh right after crying, hair grows in places it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
Never heard that before. That's a new one.
Yeah, well, I never cry, so.
Oh, that's true. Or laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I laugh. I laugh quite a bit.
To hide the pain.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that we learned a little bit more about Tosan in this episode.
Sure.
When you look at Tosan, like, he's like a strictly analytical thinker.
Yeah, not very high emotional intelligence.
Yeah, and I think that they really dug into that in this episode. Like, him and Chi Pyong are reading the letters together, and he's like, why would you go look at rainbows? It's just light refracting off the raindrops or whatever.
He doesn't get it. Bro.
Yeah, and then later in the episode when they're in the car, or when they're sitting on the bench, and she's like, are you curious as to why I was crying? You know, and he was like, huh?
Like, just totally doesn't.
Yeah, like totally doesn't like care at all. And like it happened a few times at the end when he's explaining to his friends why why Chi Pyong would be a perfect business partner. He's like strictly using like analytics to go through every single situation.
But he can be kind of sweet because he asked her if she opened the music box.
Yeah, and I think that moment was like supposed to be like a turning point for him.
Moment of growth.
Yeah, because he's walking away and he was like doing exactly what Chi Pyong told him to the entire time, like down to the word. And then at that moment, he was like, you know what? I'm gonna like make a decision.
He's gonna shoot a shot.
Yeah, exactly. And then throughout the episode, you could see after that he was kind of like becoming more emotional.
Right.
So. Yeah.
I think Duncan says this episode is over.
I think so too.
Come on.
What's the matter, bud? Oh, is it playtime or is it time to go pee?
All right, so that was our recap of episode 3 of Startup. We are shortly after this going to be watching episode 4 and doing a recap video, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can follow along, leave us comments so we can make it an open discussion with the viewers, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy. Subscribe to the channel. We've got other content coming. We've done Blackpink content. We've done this K-drama club, and who knows what's to come next.
Who knows? Not me.
But that's all for today's episode. I'm Nick.
And I'm Joe.
And this has been
Nick
and Joe.
Joe.
Have a good one.
This is our best outro yet.
Yes.